I still don't know if what we saw was a legend come to life or something that just wore the skin of one. I only know that I can't hear the wind in the trees without tasting metal in my throat. There were 3 of us, myself, Evan, my cousin, Tyler, and our friend Jess. We were looking for a winter escape. No work, no bosses, just whiskey and a wood stove. My destination was my family's old hunting cabin in the northern tip of Michigan's Lower Peninsula. It had a dark history. My uncle had used it for years until he vanished in a storm near Marquette when I was 16. They never found his body. We left on a Sunday in January. The world looked washed out, desaturated. As we drove north, the snow thickened and civilization thinned out into endless pines. We stopped at a final gas station, a relic from the 70s with humming fluorescent lights. The attendant was an old man who looked like he'd grown out of the pine boards. When I mentioned the Hale cabin, his eyes sharpened. "Your people, the Hales?" he asked. "Your uncle went missing." "Yeah," I said. He leaned in, his voice dropping. "You make sure you eat your own from your own bags. Nothing left behind, nothing from the woods." Then came the warning that would haunt me. "After dark, if you hear anything that sounds like your uncle or your granddad or anyone you miss, you don't open the door. Some things like to borrow voices." We laughed it off in the car, but the dread had already settled in. 5 miles down the unplowed logging road, we saw the first sign. Tyler spotted it. Hanging from a low branch was a deer skull, stripped clean, rotating slowly in the wind. Below it, half buried in the snow, bones were arranged in a circle like fingers reaching up. "Hunters don't decorate trees," I muttered. For a split second, I thought I saw human boot prints around the tree, shallow, old, and watching the road. The cabin sat in a small clearing, huddled under a thick coat of snow. Inside, it smelled of old ash, mouse droppings, and stale cold. As we unpacked, I noticed the door. On the inside, clustered around the heavy metal latch, were deep gouges, 4 parallel lines, repeated over and over. Something had tried desperately to claw its way out, or keep something from getting in. "Bear?" Tyler suggested. "Bears hibernate," I said, "and raccoons don't have claws that big." We settled in. We got the wood stove roaring, we made chili, but the atmosphere was heavy. Night 1. I woke up after midnight. The fire was low. At first, I thought it was the wind, a low moan rising and falling, but it wasn't constant. It had a cadence. "Hello." I crept to the loft railing. Then came a soft, deliberate crunch of snow right outside the door. "Evan." The voice was clear. It sounded like my missing uncle. The vowels were stretched too long, the tone mimicking a human cadence, but getting it slightly wrong. The latch rattled. The door groaned as weight pressed against it. I stood frozen. After a moment, the pressure lifted, and the footsteps walked away. Not fading, just ceasing. Day 2. We went outside to check. There were no footprints at the door where the voice had been, but near the side of the cabin, cutting across our snowshoe tracks from the morning, was a new set of prints. They weren't animal. They were bipedal. They were too long, too narrow, and looked like bare feet, if bare feet ended in sharp points. They walked from the tree line, stopped directly under the loft window where we slept, stood there for a long time, and then walked back into the woods. That afternoon, looking for matches, I found the journal. It was hidden behind chipped plates. My grandfather's handwriting gave way to my uncle's jagged scrawl. Deck 12, heard it again. Not a coyote, not a man, something that wants to sound like both. Deck 15, found bones, teeth marks wrong. Deck 17. It's testing the walls. Claw marks around the windows. Feet don't match any animal. Almost human, but wrong. December 18th. It knows my name. Sounds like Dad. Sometimes sounds like myself, calling from outside. December 19th. Final entry. Can't stop thinking about how easy it would be to last the winter if I didn't have to carry so much meat. If I wore it instead. If I grew the teeth to match. Night 2. The siege began. We barricaded the door. Heavy footsteps walked across the roof, thump, 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 making the beams vibrate. Then, tapping on the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Jess, open up. It was Jess's mother's voice. Her mother had been dead for 3 years. It had the tone, the laugh, but it was warped. Then it moved to the front window. Tyler. It was his estranged father's voice. Don't be rude, son. Then, at the back of the cabin, right by my head, Evan, my grandfather's voice. Let me in, boy. It's so damned cold.
A massive blizzard hit the next morning. We were trapped. That's when the hunger started. It wasn't normal. It was a gnawing, cramping emptiness that food couldn't touch. We ate constantly, but we were starving. I noticed Tyler looking at us differently, his eyes lingering on Jess's hands, his face becoming sharper, gaunter. The meat incident. I woke up to Jess sobbing on the floor. She was holding a piece of raw, dark meat to her chest. There were tooth marks in it. I didn't go outside, she cried. I woke up with it. I was dreaming. It told me if I just took a little bit, it wouldn't hurt anyone. The meat smelled of iron and musk. It wasn't our beef. I threw it into the stove. The smell of burning flesh filled the cabin.
The sighting. During a lull in the storm, we tried to dig out the SUV. Jess screamed. Standing in the tree line was a figure. It was impossibly tall, thin to the point of structural failure. Its arms hung too low, its legs bent backward like a deer's hind legs, but the toes were long and splayed. It was gray, patchy, with stringy hair. It stood perfectly still, watching us. We scrambled back inside.
Day 6, estimated. I woke to a smothering silence. Tyler's bunk was empty. His boots and the .22 rifle were gone. I looked outside. Tyler's boot prints led into the clearing. Halfway to the trees, a second set of tracks joined him, the long, narrow, barefoot ones. They walked side by side into the woods.
I went to the porch. Tyler! From the deep woods, his voice called back. Evan? I think I'm hurt. Help me. It was the trap. If you're Tyler, I shouted, tell me what we talked about the night before we left. The voice replied, you said we'd be fine. You said we had enough food. Wrong. We had talked about firewood. It was repeating things it had heard through the walls. I'm not coming out there, I screamed. The silence held. Then my own voice yelled back from the trees. Evan, stop being ridiculous. Come help. Then came the laugh, a sound like wind whistling through broken glass, dropping into a guttural growl. At dusk, Tyler came back. 3 knocks on the door. Evan, Jess, open up. I'm freezing. It sounded just like him. Jess moved to open it. I stopped her. Wait! Tyler, I called. Why did you go out? I heard a woman screaming, he said through the door. I thought someone was hurt. I got turned around. Please, let me in. I went to the small window beside the door and wiped away the frost. Tyler was standing there. He looked cold. He looked scared. Then he saw me and he smiled. The smile was too wide. It stretched the skin too far. And the eyes, they were Tyler's color,
but behind them was something ancient and bottomless. "Come on, man," the thing said. "Open the door." "If I don't," I asked, "what will you do?" The voice went flat, ice cold. "You'll starve." It wasn't a threat, it was a statement. The hunger in my gut spiked. "Let me in," it said. "You're not going to make it without me." I refused. "Not yet," it whispered, and it walked away.
It circled us all night, scratching the walls, describing how soft the meat between our ribs was. It tried to bargain. It tried to feed on our desperation. I found the note in the journal I had missed. Fire hurts it, but denying it hurts it more. It needs you to invite it. It needs you to want. The next day, the weather broke just enough. We didn't pack. We ran. We piled into the SUV and drove like hell. As we passed the tree with the hanging deer skull, I saw it. Sticking out of the snow beneath the bones was a hand. A gray, stretched human hand. I didn't tell Jess. We made it back to civilization, but we didn't come back whole. I lost 15 pounds in a week. When I tried to eat chicken back at my apartment, I felt a rush of disappointment. My body wanted the meat I had smelled in the cabin, the meat Jess had held. I haven't eaten meat since. Tyler is still listed as missing. Search parties found nothing. Jess moved south. We don't talk.
But the worst part is the nights. Sometimes, when the wind rattles my apartment windows, I hear a voice. It doesn't sound like my uncle anymore. It sounds like me. It stands on the other side of my bedroom wall and whispers, "You're still hungry, aren't you? Let me in. I can help." I lie there in the dark, my stomach knotted with a hunger that never goes away, and I think about how easy it would be to open the door.